then I would hear relatives saying, this is happening to black people. This is happening to black people. You gotta be careful when you're black, and like this warning. So my self-worth was that I'm black and I'm proud, but I'm also black and I'm terrified.
Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.
We're out. Are we in? When he finishes yawning, then we'll start the session.
That's fine.
No, when you finish yawning.
Oh, I thought you said when he finishes John.
No, baby, we're in.
I thought you were dancing. I'm ready.
We
Let's go.
in.
I'm ready. I'm here.
We have Zarif in the building.
Are you recording?
I told you we're in. We've been in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said I'll wait for your yawn. Guess who's back? You're back.
I'm back.
Wait,
I'm back.
It's the second time?
Yes.
See, we've got to try and catch you before you travel and do it third time.
Yeah. Do it 6 times and just say bank them.
Bank 'em.
Because we didn't talk about current events. Nobody's gonna know.
That's so true. That's so true.
Just save them up. You know what I'm saying?
So Zarif,
Yes.
how did
Yes,
everyone
ma'am.
receive your last episode?
Shining. I got a lot of people asking me a lot of personal questions. You know what's funny? Because I talk about personal stuff on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think half the people are like, aha, he's either A, making it up or embellishing it, or B, it happened, but I don't want to talk about it. But when I did this offstage, because I've never really done anyone's podcast besides my own, where I talk about some stuff. And I also don't think anyone that I realized how many people that I knew didn't watch my podcast, because I was like, I've said some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, they probably just go, okay, I'll watch it later, I'll listen, or I'll see his comedy. He's doing it, and they like it, and they move on. But they actually listen and watch this. And I think a lot of it probably was because of you. Because they was like, who is she? Who is this? Who is that?
No.
Yeah.
No. A lot of people were in my DMs and they were like, "Rah, his journey is serious." Like the way you articulate yourself, just your whole journey. I think people didn't anticipate. I even had comedians in the DMs like also wanting to like unpack a little bit. I'm just like, okay.
They want to come on, right?
Yeah. And it's because
I had some comedians write me that was like, oh yeah, should I hit her? It's English ones especially. Should I do her, bro? I'm like, yeah, you should like go on, but I know I was just like, but don't go on with don't try to go and be deep or say something. I was like, I wasn't really being deep. I was just talking, being myself, being honest.
I think it's just your own personal journey.
Yeah, if you're just honest, yeah.
And the thing is, I think, well, firstly, how did you find unpacking and other people like actually being, because you said you've spoken about it before in your podcast, people obviously haven't been watching or because they weren't real small ones of it or whatever.
Yeah.
How does it feel knowing that you were vulnerable and people finally like really saw it that raw?
It didn't even, I was nervous at first. Like, I'll be honest, I was like pretty nervous. But then when the flood of just messages or just whatever came in, that was nice, because I was like, it's a weird thing. Like, I know we're going to talk about manhood and growing up being a man, but I was like, I'll know. The first thing I thought, instead of, I'm still progressing, I'm still working on it, but the first thing I thought was, they're going to see me as weak. They're going to think I'm soft, bro. They can't think I'm soft. And then I was like, but who is they? Who can't think I'm like, and I don't care, because I'm not, even if that's the thing, that's nice. That's a good thing to be sensitive and have a heart and have some compassion behind yourself.
Obviously, like, it might be too soon or sort of whatever, but I genuinely, like, you're probably one of the most, like, I really appreciate your podcast, like our episode. Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, it's really.
And sorry, go on.
No, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and it's not because like, you're the most interesting, or just how transparent you were and just how honest you were. I think how everyone reacted to it. Yeah, like, everyone appreciated your honesty, and I think a lot of men appreciate your honesty.
I think that's what I took from it.
Yeah, a lot of
men there's like 2 men of my friends who I look at as like men, like man, and they were like, yo, it made me tear up, dog. And I was like, what? Yeah. And they were like, yeah, that was deep. They were like, because we know you, and one of them grew up with me, so he knew everything I was saying. He was there for some of the stuff I was talking about, you know what I mean? And he was just like, he was like, I witnessed things with you and we went through things together, but I only know how it impacted me. He was like, we never talked about because that's how you grow up. You just don't talk, like you don't communicate, especially with another man.
Yeah, you keep it stepping.
Yeah, you suck it on down and you use other vices to keep it like, internal and, or, suppressed. And yeah, so he was just like, yeah, man, like seeing you open like that, man, that made me, man, I wouldn't talk to my I wouldn't got a therapist and all that. I was like, oh, for real? He was like, yeah, well, it's just this dude I know, but I'm gonna get a therapist. I was like, but that's a step. Like he's trying.
Yeah.
In his way, yeah.
I think, and also seeing the comments, like people actually just wrote openly, like, I never knew this about you, bro, or like,
some homies.
Me, you need to catch up.
Yeah.
Like they probably were quite shocked to see certain things, or to hear certain things.
Yeah. Because what's funny, some people that I know like social media is weird. Because people that I know online that I'm friends with or that I follow or follow me or whatever, I know one of the people that commented, the last time I saw him in person, I was 13. And then like a month after I saw him, I got shot. So he didn't even know then the next thing he knows, we're on Facebook, we're Facebook friends years later. And I do comedy. So he don't really, you know what I'm saying? So I always think like everyone knows me, but social media gives you that illusion that everyone's just aware of everything that's going on. And it's not. Yeah, you have to really, I used to think people overshared, but now it's like, oh, it's not really oversharing. People actually won't know this unless you until you say something. Yeah.
Even like getting to know you on a one-to-one, like I never would have known half the stuff that you spoke about.
Exactly.
And you carry it really well. I think a lot of us do, just generally, but also the fact that because you do a lot of comedy around it, people just think, it's exaggerated material.
Right.
Plus you're American, you definitely exaggerate for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
But then to hear it, I was like, oh shoot, like the fact that you're able to convert that trauma into material, and that's kind of maybe part of the healing. So I respect that, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's my main thing is to try to, especially on stage, is to be as open and honest as possible, because all the people I look up to that do comedy are that way. There's a comedian, Ali Sadiq. He's an American comedian, Black Muslim American comedian. And he, to me, is one of the most refreshing breaths of fresh air in comedy, just in manhood, because I've seen him cry on a podcast himself, explaining about like what's going on with just the common people, and having to, just what it's like to struggle and all these things like that, and like how to build better communities and things. And I've seen him just be very open about so many things. And I was like, wow. But he had a crazy life too. So I kind of look at him like, man, if he can do this, that's what I think a lot of young men and young women especially, but we need people like that. It doesn't have to be like the next Martin Luther King
just
or
someone.
It just has to be someone who you can go, I can see myself in you, and I can see the positives that I want to be in you. So I'm not going to try to be you, but I'm going to try to be my version of that.
They've inspired people. They've inspired you.
Exactly.
I respect that 100%. And I think, I guess referring back to that, I think this is my moment to just quickly mention while it's still fresh. I got 1 million views on one of my TikTok videos.
Oh.
Which is quite impactful and overwhelming. And I'm sure other people are like, yeah, I do this every day. But for me, the reason why it means so much is because I kept it raw and honest about my dad's passing. And about like that's what went viral. Not me talking crud or me talking something stupid or like how much that resonated with people. And people said, like, you inspired me in a certain way, or like you're helping me go through it now. I just lost my dad, and just hearing this, like, it resonates so much to me. And I think it goes back to the fact that when you're allowing people to just see you, it's not a sign of weakness, but actually people are yearning to connect with someone. So you talking about your story is someone watching that going, oh my God, I'm so glad he mentioned this, because I've carried so much shame and I'm struggling to forgive myself. And, and I think just continue being vulnerable and just doing you.
That's awesome, because I think that's what would, for me, social media, I'm like, but for me, if something like that hits, that's more meaningful to me. That's like what I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like if one of my little comedy clips or something, I don't really care about I post every blue moon. But if something takes off that's not just slapsticky silly, I think I'd care more about social media. I think I'd try
Precisely,
more of that. So I like that. That's really dope. I looked at TikTok, by the way. I was like, oh, I'm on TikTok, so let me just look at this. I was like, okay, people like it. I was like, let me see your comments. Okay.
I don't understand algorithms just yet. I'm about to dive deeper to studying. But
Are you gonna look it up?
Yeah, 100%,
please do.
man.
Yeah, let me know what you do.
Listen, look at this second-hand learning.
Let me know what you find out, because I'm not gonna do it.
No, I need to at this point. So we start every episode with a quote.
Yes.
Do you remember your quote?
I do remember the quote. And then you asked me, and now the quote is not there, but it is there. It's coming out.
Once been a criminal, it's not a disgrace.
It's not. The word is one word I'm missing.
Disgrace.
I knew it. That's the word that I'm being a disgrace. Yeah.
No, you're not.
No, it's not a disgrace to have once been a criminal. It's a disgrace to remain one. That's Malcolm X.
Yes.
Which I hold dearly, and I know a lot of people do. And I don't mean when I say criminal, you don't even have to do anything. To me, being a criminal is not helping the next homeless person or person that you see on the street. In my personal opinion, you walk past somebody knowing that you do got it. These people walk by. I know sometimes you don't want to stop. Sometimes you're in a rush, and I do it myself, so I'm guilty of it. I'm not chastising people, but sometimes when you see floods of people walking past a person that's just sitting down on the ground, I'm like, yo, you just spent money on something goofy. Just give them $1 or a pound, you know what I mean? A sandwich. So my daughter actually saw a homeless person and asked, was he hungry? She's only 3. She was like, is he hungry? Yeah. I said, yeah. She was like, can we give him something to eat? Right? So, and she did it with her mom as well. So we go and I go get him a sandwich, you know what I mean? And get him a juice and get him this. I'm like, what else should we get him? Get him an apple. You know, she's just like giving him healthy stuff. And she gave it to him. And I'm like, this is already the way I'm learning. Like we could learn from the fresh minds and the fresh hearts. But so I look at it like being criminal isn't just because you stole or robbed or maimed or did something. It's also how you just generally treat the next person and then the people you can't see. Yeah. You know, like if you know a company is destroying someone's land or a group of people, then don't support it. You know what I mean?
I guess the issue is mainly the fact that if you continue to be this person, then that's a disgrace. Like
exactly.
Saying,
yeah. So you have to cut it out. Like it's at some point you have to grow. So I know there's a line in a song that I really liked, and the guy said, I used to be gang, 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 but I learned in order to grow, there's some things in life you can't maintain. And I was like, that's exactly how I feel. I was like, that's how I feel. That's how I explain to people gang stuff or anything to do with anything, you know, criminal or hood or whatever. I go, you always going to probably have that in your back, you know, somewhere someone's going to always remind you, but it's what you do with it, you know, later. It's not, you don't have to go teach kids at the school and rebuild an entire community or anything to move on. You just need to stop what you're doing, and that's it. Yeah. That's the only way you can progress. Yeah. Is if you're doing stuff that's causing you trouble or holding you back, stop it, and then naturally anything else is progression. That's it. And that's, I guess, something that you can say to yourself, part of your forgiveness. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I agree, because I think every single person, even like looking back on, even on an Islamic perspective or any sort of history, people who've done criminal-minded stuff, eventually when they see the light or they do whatever, then they change their ways. So it's just like you can't just keep holding on to someone's past as a way to sort of signature and stamp them for who they are. Because like who you were 20 years ago and the growth that you've had in that time, it'd be extremely unfair even on ourselves, because if someone judged us based on who we were 20 years ago, it'll be that's completely, it's crazy. Yeah, because you've evolved, sometimes for the worse, but more times for the best, because you've learned from mistakes. It takes, you know what, it takes people a lot longer. I think a lot of people see somebody maybe that evolved or changed, or people that just do what we consider like linear, quote unquote, linear good. I have a good linear moral compass. And they go, if they can do it and switch it, you can do it. But they don't understand that was a progress. I know people who just now, like me, started to be like, okay, I can't do that. I can't say this. I can't talk like that. I can't try this. Like I say my main word for women growing up was bitches or hoes. Like I literally can remember.
We could never have been friends.
You know what I'm saying? Like I remember, but the thing is like, and it's not a diss to anybody that raised me or anything, but that's how I heard people talking.
Yeah, they set the bar for you.
Right. So I'm like, oh, these women or this woman or whoever, these people that I'm around, be like, oh, this is bitch, and this. Then it must not be a problem. So I just remember one day I was like, talking to a homegirl of mine, and this was not very long ago. This was in New York. This is like right before I even came here. And I was just like, yeah, this B, you know what I'm saying? This H. And she was just like, I was like, what? She was like, why? What? She's like, I know we from Atlanta. I know whatever, but like, why are you talking like this? And I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, I know this is how you talk, but it's a lot. I was like, what? And then she just kind of explained to me, and not in a like preachy way. She was like, I know you're smarter than that.
Yeah.
And she said, I know that in your brain, when you say things, you think first. She was like, so you're not even drunk right now. So I know you think
have
first.
no excuses.
So you just thinking that I'm going to say it. And she's like, whatever the anger is, you got to let that go and whatever. She kind of helped me out with that. But at that point, I was like, okay, let me try my best not to do that. And it's a progress because it goes back to rearing and environment and just like things that have molded and shaped you.
Yeah.
And so I even went back. I'm not this guy, but I even went back and listened to some old rap I really liked. And I was like, ooh, damn. I was like, I really thought this was like the way to live. I was like, I thought to myself, I was like, I know it's entertainment. Now I'm older. I'm like, it's entertainment. But back then I was like, yes.
Lifestyle. Yeah.
This is what you must do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
I think also how you choose to articulate yourself can sometimes be a disservice to you because if you're trying to land the point and you're referring to women in a certain manner, you've lost your audience already.
Yeah.
Because boy, if I was ever talking to a guy and he referred to a woman as goodbye.
Oh man.
And everything could have been good up until that point. But I'm like, from when you have chosen to articulate yourself in this manner.
I bet that happened to me and I didn't even realize. I bet that happened a couple times.
It wasn't meant for you.
I didn't even know. I didn't know why she stopped talking to me.
You done called her a bitch.
I mean, yeah, that you mean, but yeah, I also act like a ass, so that's also not a.
And that too, but son, it's
but
you, right?
Yeah.
So my quote is, "Grief is the price we pay for love," and this is actually Queen Elizabeth II quote. I never thought I'd ever be referring to Queen.
Wait, who was the second Elizabeth?
No, dude.
Not this one that just.
No.
Which number is she?
Oh snap!
Like 20?
Second.
So it is this
yes.
one. Okay. I thought it was like 20 of them because I'm like, George, I don't know the names, but yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I guess it's her. It is actually her. Shame her face was all over the quote, Yeah. So for me, I get that. I feel like it's probably the most realistic thing, which is basically it's the price, isn't it? You're in love. Like if you love your family, your friends, and like you've lost a lot of people along the way, and I feel like it's just accepting that grieving is hand in hand, and it just comes from the price of just genuinely valuing and appreciating someone.
That's a great quote from her.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Now, like I'm thinking of, and that's kind of what we're talking about. I'm thinking of the source, and I'm like, the source of it is like, ugh.
Yeah.
In a lot of people's opinion, but I'm sure there's people who like, oh, grandma or whatever, they like her. But there's a lot of people who like, hey man, I don't. But then you think about it, you go, oh, that's, but it's so true. Because you're a parent, so I'm always like cautious. Like I'm so overprotective, I think, of just my kid. Like I let her do stuff and I'm like, yo, don't do that, because you might die, you might get hurt. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh man, that's my love is coming from, and my protection is coming from a place of I don't want to feel that grief.
That's it. It's like you're protecting yourself from
protecting myself, and I'm like, go on a slide, man. Go, do a backflip or whatever it is you're trying to do. Whatever it is that you
there's bubble wrap all around you.
Yeah,
basically. Yeah. All right, so today I want to talk about you, your growth, the evolution of Filio to Zarif.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like we mentioned earlier, as individuals, we have so many versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
So the first thing I guess I'd ask you is like, what was your life growing up as far as like, how did you view your life when it comes to like self-love, self-respect from like a child onwards? What kind of values were embedded in you?
So my upbringing is a lot it's different than a lot of like the people that I in the same neighborhoods that I even grew up in.
Okay.
Right. So when I was really, really little, the earliest I can remember, I used to stay with my grandma a lot, who was my rock, right? I used to stay with my grandma all the time. And my mom would go work or do what she needed to do to make ends meet or whatever. And so around my grandma old, you know, she got a lot of grandkids, a lot of my cousins there. Rest in peace to my cousins. A lot of them wasn't on the correct path right away. So a lot of things was happening. My earliest memory is of my cousins bigging me up, as you guys say, like when I'm really little, like hyping me up to like break dance and stuff, and they like rapping and they're trying to, you know, I'm just trying to hang out with them thinking it's amazing.
Yeah.
And the next memory after of them is seeing we had a unit in Atlanta called Red Dogs. Red Dogs is a police unit like SWAT, but Red Dogs is disbanded. You Google Red Dogs, you find a little bit about them, but they were disbanded because they were hyper violent, right? Okay. Came in my grandma's house, went after my cousins, grabbed me out the house. So this is like my intro to my self-worth, because I was very attuned to knowing that I was black when I was a kid. Even when I was 5, 4, 6, I can remember knowing that I'm a black person. So I was like, oh, these people don't like black people. And then I would hear relatives saying, this is happening to black people. This is happening to black people. You gotta be careful when you're black, and like this warning. So my self-worth was that I'm black and I'm proud, but I'm also black and I'm terrified, like as a kid. And so the older I got, like my mom and my dad, they were in this, like a lot of people have this like Afrocentric, I can't really say Afrocentric, but it's like Afrocentric meets Hebrew Israelite meets.
Yeah, what you were saying.
Kind of. There's some Muslim something in there somewhere too. It's just like it's this, you know,
a cocktail.
This like gumbo of this jambalaya gumbo of like faith that is just not Christianity basically. And there's a lot of that going on. And I remember people just being like, "Oh, hello, King. Hello, young prince. Hello, young king." And I was like, wow, that made me feel really good. But again, I have to look at the source, and I'm watching how they act and how they really moving. Because, you know, kids, that made me clock, like I need to switch my movements up a lot, because I'm like, I remember being 4 and seeing people was full of it. So I need to make sure I don't do that with my daughter, where I'm not moving a certain way. Where I'm saying I'm not calling women B, but at the same time, I'm on the phone with my friend, I'm like, yeah, you know, this be, you know, because she can. Yeah. So growing up, it was like, my mom was like, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Haile Selassie, Bob Marley, whoever, like all this going on. Was it a
very pro-black environment?
So in my house, pro-black. But also my family, my mom especially, you know, sibling, cousins and people, but not. Like also, my mom was like, man, I shoot this nigga in the fucking face. And I'm like, yo, what? But as a kid, I'm like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? But like, who is it? And like, I've seen my mom, this is the thing, my mom almost beat a lady up in the grocery store for talking slick to her. And I think the real reason she stopped is because she saw me and I was like 5. And she told me this like years ago. I think she stopped because I was 5 and I was watching her about to slick mess, cursing this lady out. And she was like, oh, let me you know what I mean? So it was pro-black in the house, but outside of the house, it's not very pro-black. It was, but it wasn't. And so at a point in time, those roads are going to cross. And I was very good at being convincing that I wasn't in the streets, even though my mom knew the whole time. We had to talk, like one of the last times we talked, like a while back. We had to talk. As in you lived a double life with your parents? Oh yeah, I lived a double life, even from friends. Like I had 2 groups, very distinct groups of friends, where like people who knew me, like, oh, we go to the comic book store and da-da-da, but they don't know I'm only doing that because I got something in my backpack I need to drop off to somebody else. Right, so I was very good at pretending to not be. I don't know what you guys talking about. I like anime, and like, but I do. But also, what are drugs? Right, I do like all this comic book stuff, but also I'm not on the right path per se. And so, growing up it was very like, it was weird because I knew the right thing by lesson. I knew Malcolm X's teachings. I knew even Farrakhan. You know, I know people say whatever, you know, some stuff he says, but even. It doesn't even matter. Angela Davis is one of my favorite people ever. Even her teacher, I got it in my head. And there's a lot of friends that I have like that, like a couple of my boys that I grew up with. But we all had that installed in us. And you can see some of us really stuck with it. And I wasn't one of them. And some of us, which I was, we kind of was like, yeah, whatever, dog. And so it's very weird. And I can't, my therapist is still working on it with me, but I can't pinpoint when I decided, you know what?
Transition.
I'm just not going. Well, I decided to be like, because it was a road. It was like I can go pro-righteous brother, or just at least just a decent, whatever, or I can just go like, man, I'm about to go cause mayhem. And my therapist and I were working at pinpointing, and it's 3 events that she's like, we're going to figure out which one of these events it is. It's death of a friend that I witnessed. It's myself being harmed by gun violence, and it's the loss of a relative, like at a snap moment. And it wasn't. It wasn't. Yeah, I didn't get to say goodbye to like so it was my cousin Ron, and his son died not too long ago. His son Duran passed away, but didn't get to say bye to him. And he literally left my house, went up the street, got hit by this is the part I think that hurt me, and I probably have to tell my therapist this now, is that he got out of prison. Yeah, she did watch that. We'll talk about it. He got out of prison, came to live with me and my mom and my little brother instead of his mom for the time being, and was turning his life around. He was literally stopping all the stuff that had put him in jail. Came out, getting a job, doing everything he's supposed to do, and went out to party to celebrate, and then never came back. And it was like, oh. And then the next time I saw him was a funeral, and it was like, I can't, nope.
It was hard to comprehend.
Yeah, I just couldn't, I didn't.
How did he die?
He was, so his friend was driving a car drunk, him and his friends were, and another car was coming, and they hit him between two. They ended up hitting him on the street somehow.
Oh, like, he was physically
He was walking. Yeah, and they got him. Man. Yeah. So he passed away. Yeah, man. But so I think it's one of those moments my therapist is like, it could be all of them because she was like, because you were, and she said, you still have a lot of anger. She's so quick to anger. And I was like, oh, why am I so mad? And I think I made a conscious decision almost like to just give into that. But I was young. The other part is I'm young. I don't know that my life is going to drastically not go where I want it to go because I'm going one way. I think I'm young. Of course, I think I'm smarter than everyone. I think I'm slicker than everybody. I don't know, like there's entire systems set up.
Nah, it's cool. You're young,
it's not that. Right, yeah. So, so that growing up was, I can't say I had the worst upbringing yet. We were homeless at times. Like we had to move house immediately or our stuff got thrown out or whatever. We were hungry sometimes, but I didn't die, and then I wasn't like my mom wasn't just like beating us. I got smacked around, but I was, it wasn't.
That's just childhood, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah, just getting smacked up. But it wasn't like, I look at some people I know who I grew up with their lives. I'm like, how did you?
They had it bad.
How did you get out of that and become a great person? Because I'm sitting here complaining. I'm like, I had books to read in the house and all this other stuff and meditation.
But do you still feel like everything that you like? So see, like the righteous path that you could have taken. Obviously, those values were instilled in you, but you've chosen to ignore it. Do you feel that still helped you? Because when you finally got your ish together, or when you started to, you still had those foundations to fall back on, or your knowledge, or that empowerment that you had inside you. Yeah,
even if my mom and I, we still haven't spoken in a while, but even if, no matter what, with my parents and family, no matter what, there is always that foundation of some good, right? Like I didn't have to fend for myself till I moved out. I had to help her with work and do all type of other stuff, but I wasn't like on my own till I actually was on my own. But yeah, the foundation definitely was something that I knew how to go back to, because I look at it like my boy, who I told you earlier before the thing, my boy called me from prison.
FaceTime
me from prison, which is disgusting.
Upgraded.
We're not even talking about
where he got that phone.
He got that phone, and it was an iPhone 14. It's a big phone, so. So he
don't they have a mini? That's a 13. That's a mini.
Something like, I'm like, ugh, dog, that's not cool, bro.
Someone's feeling.
I'm never gonna touch his phone when he's out. I don't want to touch none of his devices. But I was like, oh, when he gets out, what's his foundation? He found his He's Muslim as well now because he converted in prison. But he found his foundation there. But I hope that's, I talked to him, I was like, I hope that's enough for when you get out, because the knowledge and the things that I have from just being raised a certain way, he didn't have.
Exactly.
He didn't have none of that. Like, I used to eat vegetables for lunch, and they'd be looking at me like, what are you doing, bro? I'm like, you eating a bag of Skittles, you can't eat that. And we're 10. Yeah. He's like, why, bro? I'm eating Skittles. I'm like, because you can't do math. Your brain don't work. I'm eating broccoli so I can do math. And they're like, what are you talking about, bro? 2 + 2 is 4.
There's no connections.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, he didn't have like this foundation of good parenting. He was on his own at 14. He was living by himself.
It's hard because like when people find, especially like in prisons, when people find faith, whatever the faith is, they start living by it for survival, I guess, to an extent. It kind of gives them peace, it gives them whatever. But when you're back in the real world, it's so easy to like potentially fall off because you're now navigating through the realities of the world, and it's no longer you in a cell with a bunch of like faces that you're always going to see. You're now having to like really test your strength and test your the resistance to not fall back into what you know. And it's back to the whole, in the back of your brain, you can always go back to your old life and you can always do whatever. So I guess you probably have to keep an eye on him when he gets out.
And it's also, I thought about it too. I was like, oh, I was lucky enough to travel. I was lucky enough to go see other things, and he's never been out the country. He never really been out the state. So I'm like, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, oh, my foundation kind of continued to remove me from a certain environment. So, but he's a 180 from who he was. I really do think Islam helped him. I don't think prison helped him at all. I think finding Islam in prison helped him. I think it's the discipline and the structure. The discipline was the thing. And people say that to me. They're like, oh man, you could, how come you're not going to drink? You're not going to eat pork? Whatever. I go, it's A, no. But B, it's also the discipline. And C, why would you want me to? I feel better. So I clock people like that who are like,
take note.
You gonna have another drink? I'm like, you want me to have a drink? Like, I'm telling you, I wasn't good with alcohol. In general, I should have never been drinking because it's in my family.
Full stop, faith or no faith.
But yeah.
Yeah, but I agree, because there's a lot of, even if you're not a revert, but some people who rediscover the same faith again. So people who are born Muslim who then discover Islam again for themselves, but it's not inherited.
Is that common? Is that super common?
I know a few people who they were just taught whatever they took on, which was cultural values mainly and somewhat Islamic. And then as they got older, they learned for themselves, and they knew that they had to go very disciplined in order for them to be focused. So they remove themselves from a lot of situations because they know, why am I going to even put myself in a position of weakness? So like people are like, oh, you're quite extreme. It's like, no, but I know what's best for my soul. And it's just accepting that everyone's got different boundaries and different thresholds.
It's literally
like that. I could potentially go to work drinks. Could be in a restaurant, could be anywhere. But I know when it's my cue to go because I don't drink. Whereas for other people, they can be in an environment and they go, yeah, I can just go for work drinks. But then someone will offer them 1 drink, then 2 drinks, and they'll ignore it. Then eventually get tempted.
You get to it, yeah.
So I think everyone has to respect each other's boundaries because everyone puts those boundaries in place for a reason.
And when you let them be known, especially.
Yeah.
Because I now go do my show. I show up, I do my spot, I leave.
Yeah.
There's no drinking, there's no hang. I might say,
and you guys get free drinks, don't you?
Yeah, that's a problem. No goodbye. I don't do the whole like let's schmooze really as much. And the ladies too. Oh my God, nope, thank you. I'm out. I'm good.
Get off me.
I'm good. I'm good. Please, because you already had it out for me. I'm good. I'm leaving. I'm walking away. Please don't touch me. Yeah, but it's like you said, it's full stop.
Yeah.
Like it's not like especially when it comes to if it's going to harm another person. Like if I'm going to be a POS and harm women, either I full stop. It's not a progression of like, maybe I can still talk to women this way, or maybe I can still mistreat women. No, it's bow, stop. And then same with alcohol, bow, stop.
Just removing yourself completely
from any of that.
Until you're ready, if you're ever ready, because sometimes that could just be your life now, and it's just accepting that you got your boundaries.
True that.
Growing up, who were your role models?
My role models, obviously, myself first and foremost. No,
shout out to me.
Shout out to me. No, you know my role models were, I had a two-sided coin role models. I had Malcolm X, who was my role model, but I also had Snoop. Loved Snoop Dogg growing up. He was like for me, I was like, this is the guy I want to be. I also liked Outkast, but then I also had somebody like, I would say Master P from No Limit, who was a big time drug dealer who became a record executive. So I had these role models who were like super righteous men and so on and so forth. But then I also had these role models who
Pimpin' Hoeing.
Yeah, pimping and hoeing. And I was just like, yo, I gotta
Balance.
like, yeah. I was like, but which, so.
Yeah, you haven't mentioned family. You haven't mentioned.
I didn't.
Dad.
No, I didn't have no.
Uncle.
There's one person who I looked up to, who I was related to, was my cousin Run, who passed away. His brother Jarvis was he made me laugh. The reason I'm funny, the reason I even can form a joke and try to be funny is because of his brother Jarvis.
That's nice. Does he know that?
He's passed as well, but he doesn't. He passed when I was younger. But him being so silly and goofy all the time, and like even letting me be goofy, like I was always had to be hard. But he was like, no man, making jokes and stuff. Yeah. That is like what brings that out of me. But Jarvis usually also get on my nerves. I know your kids are going to see this, but I love you guys. But he was your dad sometimes be like, man, get off me, man. Like stop playing. But Run was like. I looked at him like this is who I want to be, good or bad. Yeah. And my grandma, I loved my grandma but that was I was very young, but I think that's just grandma love. But there was no like man who was like a father figure who I would say.
Did you put a lot of not weight on your grandmother, but do you feel like she really was the most impactful person to you, that maybe when she passed away, like you almost kind of, do you know when they say like don't depend on a person to make you happy?
Yeah.
Like allow yourself to be happy. And I think some people put too much weight on a person to expect them to shape them and guide them and whatever, so that when they are removed from them, they don't know how to cope because they've almost had that person as their buffer and their backbone. Would you say you put your grandmother on a pedestal? For sure.
Because this, like, now that I'm a man, more or less, I can think back and go, I didn't know my grandma's life before me. I don't know what kind of person she was. I don't know what kind of mom she was, really. I don't know what kind of sister she was, or like did my grandma shoot somebody? I don't know. Like, what did she
Possibly.
do? But she was a tough lady. But I go, I don't know. But what I do know is that's the part that I put up. But I did put her up on this thing, and Run too. My cousin Run is why I put him up on this pedestal. And heck, my cousin Jarvis as well, and my cousin James. There was three brothers. Now all three have passed away, but him as well. I used to, he was about 2-3 years older than me, so we'd be doing running and playing around and stuff, and I would kind of look at him like, oh, I want to do that. But yeah, so I put these people on that pedestal, and then when they were ripped away, I think that's like what dropped me. So.
I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously, like, we had when we spoke on our last episode, you mentioned obviously being part of a gang. People were actually asking you about it, like they wanted to know more, right?
Yeah.
So I guess because I want to touch on other stuff as well. I'm mindful of the time, but stereotypically, what I understand when it comes to joining gangs, I don't know whether gang culture is different in the US, but generally it's either as a state of like it's a survival mode. You got to jump into one because otherwise you're gonna be vulnerable. Or there's lack of male figures, and this is like the most enticing family unit you'll have.
Yeah, same as joining neo-Nazis. That's a gang. The same thing. Them young boys don't have nobody, and then that's who they have. Mine was pretty much that same cookie cutter thing. It wasn't even that I didn't have a dad and all that stuff like that. I mean, I didn't really, but it was. The anger. I got the quickness of it is I got beat up. I got jumped by some boys who were in a gang, and they were Bloods, or so they claim. Right? They might not even really been real Bloods, because Atlanta didn't really get gangs until later anyway. Okay. So they could have been as well, but they were, they jumped on me, and I was younger than them. I was probably like 3 years younger than them, and they beat me up at a train station, at a tube station, and. For nothing. It wasn't even anything. Like, I didn't have something they wanted.
Ask for something.
They was like, where you from? And I was like, here? I'm about to go home.
Yeah.
Jumped on me. And I was so mad. I remember being so mad because I fought back. I did martial arts, so I fought back. I clocked a couple of them, but it was like 6 of them. So they was on me. And they messed me up. And then I went home. My shirt was all ripped up.
How old were you?
I was... 13-y, 14-y, around there. This lady, I was 13. This lady, yeah, because this was even before I was tagged. This woman at the train station, she helped me out. She's like, get off him, go help them. And I was like, oh, and she's like, you okay? And I was crying, I was mad. I was like, but that angry cry. And she was like, just take a breath. And I was like, get off me. Like, and she was like, I'm trying to help you. I was like, get off me, lady. Like mad at her because I'm just mad at everything. Shirt ripped up, everything's messed up. Go home. And then my family is like, well, don't be out in the streets and that won't happen. Or don't, whatever. And I was just like,
how does that work?
And then my mom was like, who was it? Let's go find him. Let's go find him.
Yeah,
Lady, these is killing. Like, I'm not, but also she was like, but I told you, it's like a lecture, but then also I'm like, this not, bless her, but that's not the way to handle that. She obviously didn't know that. But
I think that's quite difficult because I've seen quite a few mothers, well, not quite a few, I've seen a handful of mothers who, like, there's even like a case that happened in the UK where their mum drove the boy to go and basically, I think he had like a knife or a gun, I can't remember what he did, but he basically killed the other person. Yeah. But your mum was like your hype man to like go resolve the problem. So to me, I've seen it where I've seen the woman like be, and you're meant to be the nurturer. Yeah. That's your child. Like you shouldn't be trying to encourage him. Like I get, you're meant to empower your children to be brave and be able to fight. And like I'm taking my son to jiu-jitsu every day now. Like I'm not playing about.
I love it.
So it's just like, to me, it's like I get it. You're meant to make sure, but then it's just like you shouldn't then add fuel to the fire as a parent.
That's the lesson, exactly. And that's a lesson I think that a lot of parents don't realize. That's a lesson I took from it was, even though I'm not going to go with you, lady, that's crazy, but you are telling me it's okay to go get revenge.
Basically, it's enabling.
So I'm like, I'm going to go do it. So the second I'm patched up, I go out, my boy's like, what happened to you? I tell my boy's like, let's go talk to my homie. And his older OG, Crip, was like, oh, I got something for you. You want to hang with us? Boom, boom, boom. The rest of the story. And then, and I was just a part of it because I was like, no one's going to mess with me now.
Because you effectively have a team.
Because I got a team. And even if I'm not with my team, I can be like, you know who my team is? You know who my people are? Keep moving. And I think if it hadn't worked, I would have stopped earlier. Now, I've obviously stopped, but I would have stopped earlier, but it worked.
How easy is it to stop? Because in the UK, it's pretty hard. Like,
it's easy for me. So it worked. People would be like, yo, pressing me. And I'd be like, man, this is 20s. But mine was neighborhood crip, which is a whole thing to explain. This is the actual, funny enough, this is the team logo. Like a lot of times they wear sports teams logos and it's not necessarily the color of the rag so much, but this is the one. And I would say my whole thing out and they would be like, oh, whatever. And we'll walk away. I'd be like, oh, okay. And so, but it was easy to stop. I didn't go to prison. So I wasn't forced to continue to carry it with me in jail or prison. I didn't stay living in that neighborhood. I moved. So it's
almost like a privilege if you're able to move.
It's a privilege. I was privileged enough to be able to leave that environment completely and totally for such a long enough period that everyone I knew who was in it either doesn't do it as much anymore or doesn't do it at all, is dead or in jail. And so whenever I go back, most people don't know me, some do, and then nobody cares. It's not even a thing. No one's even going to question or ask me that. Even if I live in LA or wherever, somebody asks me, I'm like, I'm just from somewhere else.
I'm just a regular folk.
Yeah, because it doesn't really, for me, like, it's always like something, because it was like a family. Slate, really, I did have a lot of good memories and a lot of family moments. Like my name, Kadir, is from a mate of mine who was born Muslim, black Muslim. He was born Muslim, and his name was Kadir. He passed away, but he was Grip. And I took it from him. He was one of my best friends, and he saved my life. And so I had a lot of moments with him, but they said, once you gangbang, you always banging. Once you cribbing, you always cribbing. But sure, but I have nothing to offer to it except how to teach other young men there's another way. I don't have anything to offer the organization except love.
But do you not think to an extent, like, it's back to that privilege? Because I think,
for sure.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's certain states in America where people never leave the state, let alone like, the country, or like they just don't ever leave their own neighborhood. So, so for you to be able to venture beyond your actual neighborhood, for you to be able to catch a flight, like you said, some of your friends will never know how much their life's worth
Until they leave.
because
Yeah, they'll
they
never
don't
leave.
realize
Yeah.
outside is really outside.
Mm-hmm.
Opportunities are really there. And I feel like a lot of people just feel like, well, if I leave, then I guess I'm vulnerable. So what's the point?
It's a brainwashing. It's a mentality. It's a cycle. You don't go because you're told not to go, and it's beaten into you not to go. But I had books that showed me that China was cool in my house. I had books that showed me Malaysia, Nigeria, Senegal. You know, I had these things thankful, you know, to my mom. But a lot of people didn't have that. I had friends who I'd be explaining different countries. They'd be like, bro, what are you talking about? You know, and now, you know, people have the internet, you know, you can find whatever you want. You see people from stuff, but people, they like what they like. Most humans around the world. Like, what's the Ukrainians that came? They said that England had too many brown and black people in it.
She's like, I checked the statistics of the neighborhood and I don't feel safe. I'm like, baby girl, you about to get killed.
You was about to get killed by people that look like you in
the fact that she
Ukraine.
was serious.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's like you don't feel safe. We wasn't the ones attacking you, sweetie.
But
So,
it's that everyone is like, this is the moment where you want to look at someone and say, like, another, like, as an ethnic minority, going,
yeah,
go back to your home.
go home. See how you like it over there. But I was not afraid, but I was like, if I mess around in one of these white people neighborhoods, something's gonna happen to me. So I wanted to stay around just black people anyway,
That's
or
just
brown
part
people
of
anyway,
the
because
grooming of how you feel towards white people growing up.
Yeah, but it's just that privilege, like you said. I was able to leave and see something different and experience something different for a number of years.
Yeah, and I guess based on the last conversation that we had, you kind of change that racism to kind of benefit you.
As well. Which is a type of anger, which is another type of anger, which is unleashing my anger in another way. Yeah. So,
Filio to Zarif.
Yeah. So born. My first name is Filio -Zarif.
Yeah.
That's the name on the birth certificate, on everything. If I go in the airport, my passport, they're gonna be like, "That's your first name?" That's like 12 letters. I'm like, you can count. It's not. It's 11 because Zarif is only 5 letters, but it's cool. We're not gonna get into it. Your airport security. So, and then I have a number of middle names.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned.
And half of them are Arabic.
Yeah.
Some of them are Hebrew. Some of them are just whatever. Yeah. And so it had a meaning, but one day, even long before this, because when I used this, you don't know this, and a lot of people do know this. Some people know this. I used to make beats. I used to make music. That was my thing. I thought I was going to be the next Pharrell Williams. Oh, I used to make all the beats. I was up there doing my music with my friends.
All right.
And my name, I just would go by Z, or I would go by Zarif, or my friend said, "Oh, you always like a zombie," because I was always vegged out because I was high. And he was like, "I'm gonna just call you Zombie Zarif or whatever. You always a zombie." So I had like multiple people would just call me Zarif. I had an ex-girlfriend who literally only would call me Zarif, because she saw it on my name. She's like, "I don't like this first name anyway," so she would call me that. Okay. So it was that, and so it always had been a part of me because my mom would say it. My dad, not my dad, but my people, they would say different names to me. So to me, it was always different. People, I introduced myself, you just do as you do your first name, or my nickname, or my street, my gang name, or my nickname, depending on who you are, I would introduce myself differently. But the change, the ultimate change came when I was like, I don't, and this is not a shot at anybody else's culture, but I don't associate with the Greekness of that first name. And I don't, I mean, it's my name. I'm born with it. Embrace it. Do whatever. But I don't have to be. I feel good when people call me my Arabic names. I feel like warm, So I don't know what it is. Maybe I had a cousin, Tiffany, who passed, but she would always call me by my middle names. She would always call. She would say my whole name, and then she would only call me by my middle names. So I feel like this warmth of like, oh, that's who I am. And then even the meaning of the name, the witty, whatever, that's me.
Yeah, Zarif,
yeah, witty, elegant, or whatever. I'm elegant. I'm elegant.
Somewhat witty.
Yeah, somewhat witty, but I'm elegant. I'm elegant. And so I was talking to a friend of mine who's Muslim, born Muslim, told me, I was like, do I need to change my name? I took Shahada. He was like, nah, bro, you can be who you want, man.
As long
I
as
was
your
like,
name is not like Christian.
right, yeah. He was like, yeah, he literally was like, as long as your name is not like, this is another religion.
Yeah,
I was like,
literally, yeah.
I was like, it kind of is, because it's in the Bible and stuff. He was like, it's probably not a problem. Bible is not a problem.
Because we have biblical names.
Yeah. So he was like, well, how do you feel? And I was like, I don't feel like that. Like, I was like,
do you feel like that was part of growth? Like, do you feel like it's part of your evolution?
Yeah.
Like when I saw you like very distinctively say, like, Hebz, don't refer to me as my first name.
Yeah.
It's Zarif, and to me it's just like, that seemed like it's a lot more deeper than I've decided to let go of my first name. It seems like you don't associate yourself anymore. It's
a shedding. It's a growth of, like, people call itself like Mos Def is Yasin Bey.
Yeah, he's changed. Yeah.
But people still call him Mos Def. They're gonna do it.
It's a bit hard, isn't it? He's been Mos
But
Def
it was
for
a growth.
minute.
You could see the growth in him. You could see with 50 Cent.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm Curtis Jackson. There's certain people. Maybe 50's not a great example, but there's people who grow and they change or whatever. And like I told people, hey, if you met me when I was 10, you gonna call me Dudes or whatever my nickname is, Philly, college, whatever. You gonna call me whatever name you know, and then that's cool. I'm not gonna stop you every time and tell you. But when I introduce myself to people and I'm next to you, I'm gonna say the name that I want, and then that's what they're gonna call me, and that's fine. And it hasn't been a problem. But it is this growth, because I felt this connection with, like I said, with Islam, and this connection of just being like, oh, okay, this is it. And then I took my friend's name as well, even though I have other Arabic names as my middle name. I took my friend's name, and I was like, that's who I am. And that's memories that I have and moments that I have when I met, like I told you, I met Muslim people and all the people who were nice to me growing up or whatever.
Yeah.
And when I would tell them my name, I'd be like, oh, I have Arabic names. And the way they would light up and the way they would embrace me when I had those names, I was like, oh, that's cool. And they're like,
Mashallah,
nice to meet you. Mashallah, Zarif. Well, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Do you know what the Zarif means?
Yeah.
How many times has someone translated your name to you?
Oh, they was like, what's your other name? I'm like, Sharif. So it's Sharif. I have Sharif. I have Zarif. I have something else. I'm trying to, Aman.
Yeah.
That's about it, I think.
Because I like some people, when they're so like proud, they like to tell you about your name.
All the time.
Do you know? Because my full African name, my full whatever passport name is Hebz Tallah. That's my first name.
So they always.
So Hebz means gift. Tallah means from Allah. It's gift from God. So when I say, oh, my name's Hebz Tallah, they're like, do you know what your name means? I'm like, because for my 30-something years.
No idea.
But thanks. But it's just
No idea.
cute because they're very passionate.
But I like that because it's something that, obviously someone's named Steve. Nobody ever asked Steve. Do you know what Steve means?
It's just like, nah, mate.
Means
My great
Steve.
granddad was called Steve.
It means my parents were like, that'll do.
Yeah, they say like the laziest parent is when you call your child, is it Aaron? They just went straight for the first name.
Yeah,
and
right
the
there.
alphabet. It's just
Boom.
there.
But no, yeah. So it's this shedding, but for me, I notice who easily transition, like even just friends or whatever, who like even being introduced on stage or even whatever, just talking to people. I was like, oh wow, these people are the people who gave a damn already. They care, and they can see my actual like emotional maturity, my growth,
Your
my change.
actual growth.
They can see that, and they go,
transition.
I'm going to support that.
That's amazing.
And that's all. I mean, people go, listen, hey, if I have to go to the DMV to do something, I'm not going to sit there and argue with these people. Just give me my new license, whatever name you need to
Whatever
put on
makes
there.
life
I'm not,
simple,
I'm not hard, but it's just like, if I
what
want to be
you want.
known publicly or something, that's what I'm known publicly as.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we spoke about childhood, your teenagehood, I guess. Adult life, we spoke about it in the last episode as well, and just your growth and therapy. You're a father to a young queen, and I'm all about calling kids young kings and queens.
I love that.
Like my son's young king Khalil.
I'm telling you, that made me so.
100%.
I told you earlier, I was like, that made me so like. I felt great when that would happen.
That's a big deal, and I feel like it's like words of affirmation is
I do it all the time. I'm like, yes, princess, yes, queen, all
Yeah.
the time. She used to say, I'm not a princess, I'm Lilith. I'm like, you're a princess, and then now she's like,
That's cute. That's cute. I have an issue with the word princess, not to kind of shoot on.
no, I know, yeah,
do you know the pervy man who goes, "You're right, princess"? Like,
oh yeah, creeps, yeah, no, yeah,
they
you know what?
destroyed it for me. I was like, young queen.
That's also, but the queen one for me, I do queen or princess, but the queen one for me is, I see that too, because I know, like, even my pops or other men that he would be around, they'd be like, yes, queen, empress, yes, beautiful. And I'm like, bro, you got
but it still
two
sounds
women in the
powerful.
car, sit down, and like.
Yeah. I just hear, but you said it cute, and the way you smiled, I'm like, oh, shall I destroy your soul by saying?
No.
I'm gonna say it anyway. So yeah, you're now a father to a very beautiful and smart young queen.
Yes.
How has that shaped you into the man you are today?
You know what? This people. To be honest, my thing with her is I love her unconditionally for the moment, because she will be a teenager one day. And then I also only want the best for her, and I will do my best to do that. So the thing that for that is more recently, obviously, even when she was born, I was still being a dickhead, I'll be honest. But I stopped more recently because I am connected with her now. We have conversations, and I'm like, oh, I can't be an ass because you won't eat. You won't do well in life if I'm not doing well in life or doing better. So it's not you've done nothing but, so let me at least start that path of doing better and whatever. There's always going to be, for me personally, I always feel like, this is not to sound dark, but it's like my people go, are you mad that, like, if some lady comes and says you're a creep or a bad guy or whatever? And I said, no, my past, like, with people in general, don't bother me. What sits in the back of my head is somebody I may have sold their parents drugs, or I may have harmed in a street way. Are they going to come back? You know what I mean? And even though they don't know me, they don't see me, whatever, it's just like this fear. Some of them might be dead. I know 2 people who were passed away, and I'm still like looking behind my shoulder for them. Yeah. And so
you worry that karma's coming for you?
But like in a very like real way, in a very like physical way. But my therapist, like, relax. But
I feel you, because there are a lot of men who have a heavy past.
Oh, for sure.
And they as much as they've made peace with a lot of people, there's always that one person that you worry about. Yeah.
So, but I look at her and I go, let me just do my best to make sure your life is okay. And that when I pass on, you don't have to do anything except keep growing and being dope. And yeah, you can, your dad, whatever, you're going to decide in the future. I was inappropriate because I said women at some point. I don't know what the heck's going to happen in the future.
You refer to me as a female?
What? Well, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I'm like, being a parent, it's hard. But it's hard because you have to let go of your ego. Yeah. And your time and your stuff you want to do. You have to now share that with your baby. But other than that, it ain't, I'm just like, we just be chilling. Like people I know people who like, kids. And I'm just like, we watch Spider-Man, bro.
But that's because
like,
they view parenthood different.
I look at it as like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is cool.
You have
cool.
a buddy, man. You got
with my homie. I'm trying to
all the time.
I'm like, yo, you want to play PlayStation? What you want to do? You want to watch me play PlayStation? Because we can do that as well.
That'd be better.
Yeah, whatever you want to do. You want to watch? I watch all her movies. I'll be interested in them.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh snap! I didn't know Elsa. Yeah. Oh my God, got to get Elsa out this castle, dog. This is crazy.
Trust me. And do you know what you realize as well when you watch these cartoons? There's a lot of adult humor.
So much.
They've got so much lined up
just
for the adults.
Us. I was like, this is. I don't know if you should be watching this. Wait a minute.
But she's laughing about something else, and you're just like, if only you knew
what this was. Yeah. So
I feel you, but do you feel, and it's not because I want you to say this, but do you feel that it's allowed you to maybe look at women differently?
Oh, for sure.
Now that you now have a daughter. Not because I think when you have a boy, it's different because I have different concerns and worries raising a young king. But you now being a parent to a female, how has that?
Yeah, because I, you know what? As much as I like to preach the equality, which I actually do, I always say the funniest people that you will ever see do stand up are women, black women specifically, brown women as well. But I only recently started seeing brown women do stand up here. Except I got a homegirl back in the States, Ayana Duki. She's Trinidadian, but she does comedy. Phenomenal, top tier. Like if I have to list the best comics that are going right now, top tier, they're going to be black women. And so I'm always just like, we are very equal in a lot of ways. And I'm always just like, yeah, just let them do whatever. But I still know men and what the idea of testosterone and manness is, even the vulnerable sides of it and the fear of it. What drives men is fear. A lot of people don't like to admit that, a lot of guys. I know where guys' minds go. I've been in rooms with dudes where I thought I was a creep, and I heard somebody else say something. I'm like, man, I will beat you up right now to make sure you don't get out in the streets. Jesus Christ, dude. So, but I'm sure people looked at me like that, right? So I
each to their own standard, I guess.
Right. So I know that, and so that definitely made me look at it different, because now I go, oh, I got to teach her about this, because she's going to go into the world, and that's not going to stop, right? So yeah, it definitely made me look at women differently, because I have mom, sisters, cousin, whatever. I go, yeah, but
they're older and they can sort of handle themselves.
Right. Yeah. With her, I'm just like, little boy say something to you, I'm like, you smack him in his face. Like, I'm immediately like, who was his boy? Why did he push you? What happened? Like, because he can get hurt. Him and his daddy can get hurt, and his mom. Who won it? And so it's made me, my protectiveness has made me look like, oh, that's somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
That's somebody's mom. That's somebody's sister.
Has it made you change your way to how you interact with women? For
sure. It more recently. Like, obviously, like when she was a baby or whatever, like I said, was still digging. Yeah. But when, like now, it's not even just around her. I do it especially around her. I'm very conscious of it, of how I'm talking, and especially even to her mom or whoever. Like, this is how I should talk to. This is how you should be talked to, and this is how people should treat you, and so on and so forth. And then on my own, because I have to practice that on my own. So it has, like, even to the small degree of when I speak to women now, if I don't really know them, I do really know them, I keep my hands behind my back until they open physical contact.
Yeah.
I don't go in for the hug first. I go in for the handshake, or I go keep my hands behind my back, and I wait for them to let me know how comfortable they are, which I never would have done before. I had no problem like, what's up, girl? Doing all that.
Get over familiar.
Yeah, when I was young, when I was 15, I was one of them grabbers. Hey, girl, come here real quick. And I was skinny, so I don't know who I'm pulling. I don't know who I'm thinking I'm going to move across the room. Yeah, just please.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I it has me. It does do that, and it does that. And every rapper got that lyric: "Men are gangsters until they have a daughter."
Yeah.
They switch up.
I think what a lot of men, I guess some men take for granted. I keep saying a lot of things. I don't mean it. Jeez, I get chastised. People are like, oh my God, Heather, the wording wrong. That you said was so inaccurate.
No,
you're generalizing.
You can generalize, because that's why people will all have the generalization is because so many people have that experience.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And people don't think about that.
But sometimes it is just a slip of a tongue. I'm not going to lie to you.
I feel you.
But yeah, there's this thing where like some men don't understand the importance and the weight of you being a father to a woman, because effectively you're setting the presidency to what love looks like, to what respect looks like, to what tones look like, and I feel like it's these pivotal moments, like you said, once your daughter was older to understand, that's when you connected with her more. And it's these moments of your presence, of your kind words, your patience, and your ego removement, your unconditional love,
the hugs and stuff.
And that's what they're going to, whatever you do, right or wrong, that's what they're going to be normalized as love.
100%.
And that's what they're going to yearn for in another person. So,
especially that in-home parent, the in-home dad. I know out-of-home dad is different to a degree, because there's other people involved. But that dad she see every day, or has it all the time experience with, that's very different. I know I even have said to like one of my cousins, I was like, man, she was laughing at me. I was like, man, when she's older, I'm gonna have a lot to answer for it. She was like, oh yeah. But I was like, but you know what? Maybe the world will change by then. She's like, don't count on it. I was like, oh, so I'm trying to set the example now, like you're saying, to be like, hey, listen, yeah, your daddy got a pass, but everybody got a pass, but you don't have to have that kind of crazy pass. That's why I was behaving the way I was around you.
Yeah.
You're my baby. Boom, 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 boom.
But it's even like small, intricate things. Like some fathers don't know how to show love, but they buy loads of gifts. But then what you're then unintentionally teaching your child is that means love. So when you meet a guy who doesn't respect you but buys you gifts,
rich
or
guys,
he's not present, but then then it's like, oh, he must really love me. And it's not even like, but it's real. Daddy trauma, all those kind of things really exist. And I think like this is literally a pivotal moment that I'll say to all fathers, which is, don't take your role for granted. Like, even the way you treat the mother of your child, no matter how much it pisses you off, it's just like that respect that you're relaying towards her transitions into the way she deals with her daughter. And you know, it's like literally energies.
Oh, very true. Very true. Thank you for saying that. That just clicked in my brain. You just gave me another piece of the puzzle. You just put it in there. Thank you so much for that, because it's my mom.
Yeah.
The way I am, to a degree, how I saw her interact with my pops and what she said about my pops, and then would be like, you look like your dad, or you're acting like your dad, or you're just like your dad. And it's like, you hate this man. Why would you? In the same with my daughter, I can't let her see me disrespect her mother, and then vice versa. If her mom is now then angry, or not vice versa, but if her mom is now then angry, her mom's seeing me. Yeah. Right? That baby you can't say that ain't that baby. So that's, you know, yeah, and that's just like there's that. So completely, like, so my son's like a carbon copy of his pops. Right. And for the hell we went through, like, I've seen women say, I can't, like, they actually don't like their children, or they get vexed at them really quickly. They're like, oh, you remind me of your dad. And I find that so sad, because it's like, how can you have so much hate for someone that you then, like, vibrate that hate into your child? Right. Like, your child did nothing besides exist. Right. Do you know what I mean? And just want to feel safe in your presence. But because you're angry at that person, you now look at your child and go, I can't stand you, move. Like, that's not, to me, parenthood at all. And there's no excuse, there's no justification. Go get therapy for that. But I think for me also is the fact that if you, let's just say, I'm not saying you have, but I think we've all fallen short when it comes to co-parenting, where I've been disrespectful to my ex-husband and vice versa. But when it comes to the mum raising as well, it's like, if you don't respect the mother, or you're constantly like bumping heads, if she's the primary carer, it's like a lot of energy then you have to then convert into positivity when you're angry at a person, to then like pump that into your child and you personally. Like, if you're angry with someone all the time, to be in a state with your child, like, because you're attached to them. It's like, you remind me that I gotta keep talking to this person forever until you're however old, and now I can stop talking to them, and that's cold. That's cold. But that's not a coping mechanism. Yeah, that's really messed up. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Or just the fact that you then have to find a way to detach your feelings and then channel love into your child without feeling like some frustration. So it's a lot. You can choose. You can be a parent or not. The in between is the weird part. Yeah. The in between, like what we're saying, that's either I'm good, I'm out. Do you think I'll see you in 18 years, or I'm here fully? And then if I'm here fully, I'm going to do the things that I'm going to do that need to happen. Like, it's just like, you know what? It's just like I was saying about my behaviors or anybody's behaviors. It's a full stop. Either I'm fully in or I'm fully out. Like, I'm fully in, I ain't drinking. You know what I mean? I'm fully in, I'm not womanized. I'm fully in, I'm not eating pork or whatever. Yeah. I'm fully in, I'm going to be this girl's dad. Right? And if you choose to not do so, then remove yourself totally. And then you can go, you know, I guess you explain yourself later or whatever, but then you have, at least that child is not getting this
confused back
tug of war. This weirdness. You know what I mean?
I agree. I don't know. Do you ever catch yourself sounding like your parents?
Oh, all the time. That shouldn't bother me every time I do it. I'm like, oh, why do I say that? Why did I say that? Yeah. Even that, that's my mom. All the time. Gosh. Or when I'm mean, my mom says she was very mean. So when I say something mean, so I whisper something really mean, like, you know, Kazim. Yeah. And me and him, we say evil things. And I whisper something really mean. He's become a parent, hasn't he? Yeah, he just became pops. And I say something to him. He'll be in tears. He'll be like, oh my God. Or he'll say something, he'll catch me, and I'll be like, oh my God. But I go, oh, I get that from her. And my dad, this with the hands, even though I didn't really see him a lot, that's him. So there's certain things that I see and I go.
But when it comes to discipline with your daughter?
Oh yeah, for sure. I had to pull back. It happened once, and then I said never again because I remember what it did.
Is that the physical discipline element?
No, I never popped her. No, thankfully, I've never popped her. I've been in my head.
Oh yeah, it's like me in my head.
You cannot lie. In my head, I'm like, when you turn 18, you gonna know so much jujitsu. They not gonna feel bad for what I'm gonna do to you because we gonna
You'll be
fight.
ready.
It's gonna be a battle.
Yeah.
But
I think my son sees it in my eyes.
Yeah.
And the vibration of my body. He's just like, he will just start crying because he can see the rage.
She
and
sees.
how
She
much,
does that.
Like, there's a barrier right now that's stopping me from doing it.
Yeah, she does it. I get that face, and she's like, I'm like, sit down. She's like, you know what? That was the real sit down. I'm gonna sit down. But it's more of my dismissal of her that I did once, and she's just trying to, Dad, I want to show you something. She's just, I'm doing something. Just and I was like, oh no, because she didn't even cry, but I could just see
the energy dip.
how I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm sorry. What are you doing?
It's hard though. It's hard because you're trying.
Is.
Sometimes kids are superly eager and want to involve you in everything. And I'm just like, my G.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to finish. Just let me finish like one sentence in my brain. Like, please.
And then.
But then there are times where I'm just like, yeah, I need to G-check myself because that's not cool.
Yeah. So I had to and then I explained to her, hey, Daddy's writing so that he can feed you.
I do that.
Yeah. So, right. So that's like, listen, so you write on your tablet or watch this and we're going to do this together. And then when I'm done, we're going to go play outside or whatever it is we're going to do. But yeah, I had to check myself with it was a very exactly what my mom would have said dismissal.
Yeah. I remind my son every time he misbehaves. If he goes to me, oh, why can't you go to, oh, why do you have to go to work? I'm like, do you want to be homeless?
Yeah.
I go straight in for the eviction notice.
I turn the lights off. You like these? You like that? You like how that work? Yeah. Stop talking to me.
Well, I'm like, do you want toys? You don't want your toys, do you? Okay, cool, safe.
But she's good. She's cool. If I'm leaving, she's like, where you going, Dad? I gotta go to work. I'm doing some stand up. Okay, have fun. Bye. And then close the door. Yeah. But it used to be a problem.
Yeah. Now Khalil's like, Godspeed, Assalamu alaikum. I'm like,
have a good one.
Okay.
All right, ma'am.
I'll just run with that. Yeah. But yeah, and I just remind him, I'm just like, if you want more toys, you need to allow me to just leave the house right now.
I got to slow down with the toys.
Oh yeah, no.
I'm a toy because I loved toys when I was a kid. I'm a toy, but she'd be like, oh, watching whatever she watched. Let me get all the toys, all the Gabby's dollhouse, every cat. Let's do it.
Yeah, but then when your bank balance is feeling it.
Listen, I true, but I'm
you know
also.
What you should do?
You know what I did?
Go on.
Because I was like the other day, I was like, oh man, you know what? I think I'm gonna get myself a PlayStation 5.
Oh, and
then I looked and I was like, I can do this. And then I was like, or I can take care of her. I was like, not meaning like it's gonna make me broke.
Yeah.
But it's like I could get her something.
Yeah. You have
and
to
she could have a toy. And I said, fine, I'll get her some stuff. But I gotta stop because it's too much. It's like what you're saying. I'm just giving her things and she thinks that's love.
Yeah.
I don't think she thinks that, but I don't want her to develop
to then expect it.
Yeah.
That's it. So with my son the other day, or it's happened a few times where he's been ungrateful or something, or he's like not packed his stuff away properly. I said, okay, cool. So you don't appreciate your toys, right? Or he wants more things.
Yeah.
I literally Googled homeless children. Oh my God. Or children in poverty. And I made him watch a YouTube charity video. I said, do you have a roof? He's like, yes. I would say, alhamdulillah. I mean, do you have lights? Do they work? He's like, yes, alhamdulillah. I mean, do you have a fridge? I mean, you have your own damn bed. How many toys? Oh, and
you got everything.
She doesn't even have socks on.
Yeah.
Like not even mismatched socks. She has no socks on and she's in the streets. And he's like, okay, Mum, alhamdulillah, I'm grateful.
To me, that's fair.
That's a humbling moment.
That's what I mean. Because my mom tried that a couple times. She's like, if you guys don't straighten up, you going to jail. And I'm like, I know everybody in jail. That's not a threat.
That's a reunion.
I'm going to go hang out with my friends. Okay. But she was like, I remember one time she was so mad that I didn't want to eat her food or something. She was screaming like, you're not leaving the table till you eat it. There's starving children in Africa. She showed me in the National Geographic magazine all these children donations, and I was like, I literally said to her, why don't you give the food to them?
Rotted.
And then that was one of the worst smacks I remember because she wanted to laugh.
You're about to learn.
But she was like, I have to hit you because You can't. You won. I was like, and I noticed. I said, when you push a person to the point of hitting, you won the verbal part.
That's it. That's literally
You've won the verbal part, but now you're paying the price. Sometimes you don't need to win. There's also a lesson in you don't need to win the verbal part. You don't need to win
everyone. Yeah, my son loves a little answer back. But with the toys, it works. Trust me.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do it.
What's he going to say? Give the kids the toys. I'm like, all right, cool. Say no more.
Exactly. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, trust me. It's like, look, just be grateful. How many action figures do you need? So how many Legos do you need?
That's what I was just be trying to
I want the McLaren one. I'm like, rotted. First world struggles.
McLaren.
The Lego build, he builds them. So,
he out of those?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a G. He on some serious.
Yeah, shout out to his pop.
My daughter's playing with dolls and Spider-Man
toys.
He
does that though.
Okay.
So he can find, and he can be like one of the girls' dolls if you've gone to like a cousin's house.
Yeah.
And it turned to an action man. Suddenly they're on a war ground.
Imagination.
And they're all like holding, I'm like, cool. If ever we're stuck and we actually can't afford TV no more, you're going to be good. Yeah. You're going to be good for a while. What's been the hardest part around parenthood?
The hardest part is the barrier of her understanding things. Well, I try to explain what later means, or what I try to explain, like just in general. You want to go to the museum, science museum. We have to get on the train. We have to ride several stops. Like that has been like a struggle for me because I'm like, why don't you just understand? And that's silly for me. That and also my temper, and not with her necessarily, with people around, because I am very quick to tell people to move out of my way on the tube. Like, don't push me in because I'm trying to get off. I'm quick to be like, you need to move. And I have to not do that so she doesn't see that. So the hardest part is checking myself, like just in general around her. And then also understanding that she's I guess it's also part of checking myself that she's learning these things for the first time. Right? And so this is going to take some time. That and just other parents make it, other people.
Listen, do you know what?
You be like, yo, I'm trying to teach my kid to survive in the world as a black woman or a brown, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Do you understand? She don't get to just come in a restaurant and stand and jump on the table. So if you can get your little kid off the table.
100%.
Like, can you put a coat on your child? Because it's cold outside.
Yeah, but he's not wearing, I don't give it. Do I look like Lucas's mom?
And look at his face with the snot and the sickness.
Sorry to Lucas's mom.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but for real, I do that all the time. But this person doesn't have shoes on. That person's parents don't care.
Yeah.
Okay, I care about you. That's why you're putting shoes on.
But different lives. Like, everyone has their own level of care, but they have their own boundaries. So these are my boundaries. Yeah. I've told my friends, I've gone to visit their house with my child, and I'm like, why am I having to unlearn behavior when I leave your yard?
For real, no, I ain't gonna do it.
That's long. So that I have to. They even said to me, "Hebz, do you want to parent my child for a bit?" And I'm just like, boy, no, but that's a good look to me.
Yeah, well, for sure.
Because then it shows that my child's well behaved. But then you're corrupting my child, so stop it.
It's the worst because that's the thing. It's like, if I send you to somebody's house and when you come home, if you acting crazy, now I gotta discipline you in a way I don't want to, possibly, or whatever. Or now you can't. I got to go to them, be like, hey, my kid can't hang out with your kid because you are a bad parent, more or less. Because that's hard. The only thing you can. No matter how you say it, that's what you are saying.
Ultimately, what it comes down
your
to.
parenting is crap.
Yeah.
If you weren't so dumb, then my kids could come hang out with your kid. But you can't.
Your word in, sir.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. But it's like, I don't know. Like I had that happen. That my mom told somebody's mom that her son couldn't come to my house no more. She was like, your son can't come to my house no more because I'm gonna kill him. Because he don't know how to act, because you're not raising him right. And then I was like, but that's my boy. So I don't know, like, we just kept riding bikes together. Yeah, we kept doing whatever, but it did sour us a little bit, because I was like, damn, we know our moms don't like each other, and we little at this point.
We just can't be besties like that.
Yeah, we gotta like see each other from down the street, and it was like,
damn, it's like opposite gangs.
Almost, yeah. You know what's funny? When I saw him like 20 years later, he was in the opposite gang.
Oh, snap. Yeah. All right, so I'm running out of time. I have a few questions for you, but it'll be like more like fast.
Go, hit me.
Do you trust people?
Overall?
Do people have to earn your trust?
Earn.
Really? I don't believe in
No, wait. No, excuse me. I trust people because trust is not repetition. Trust is benefit of the doubt. Yeah. That's how I look at it. Trust is, if I turn this light switch on and the light doesn't come on, it's not because I'm not going to freak out. I'm going to go, I maybe need to change the light bulb, or benefit of doubt. There's some problem. Okay. So yeah, for me, trust is I'm not going to go look for anything. I'm not going to go try to do anything. I just trust you at your face value of what you say, unless you show me different. Period.
That's how I believe.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to earn my trust because I've been burnt in the past.
Exactly.
I take you face value, and if you give me a reason to push back and pull back, I will. In a heartbeat.
Person who has nothing to do with other person can't pay the debt for that person.
Nah, that's unfair. Okay, what's your purpose?
Here, I feel like I am cursed to just absorb more knowledge and give back as much as possible. I think that's my purpose. I'm here to absorb as much as I can and open and give opportunity and help and grow and build in positive ways as much as possible. It's like all I can think about. Everyone's like, oh, you could, if you get it together, you could be the next Kevin Hart. It's like, that's not my goal. My goal is to be somebody who is like a Judd Apatow or Keenan Ivory Wayans, who's going to put on a lot of people and give people opportunities to grow and be their own boss and do things like that, because that's how you affect change. Actually, it's going to actually
Massive
happen.
Impact.
Right. That's how you make an impact. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
So I'm here to help, man.
Yeah.
Because I believe everyone's born with purpose and intent. It's not. We're just here to just exist. I think every single person needs to tap in and figure out what their purpose is.
I always feel like a healer. Like in a way, like when I'm good to people, when I'm really nice, I'm really like listening and like giving, like I make people tell me like they like to hang out with me, because
that might be my next question for you. That might be your answer. What's your superpower?
Yeah, but no, for real, people will sit with me. They be like, yo, like just to talk to you sometimes makes me feel better, because someone comes to me with any problem. Yeah. I don't ever look at them like, what the? I mean, I've had people come to me with some stuff.
But your face is like, don't react.
Oh, no, they know I'm going to make fun of them. But I'm not like, I don't judge them. I try to sit with them and figure it out, whatever. So I think that's
and I feel you.
To give love in a way is my superpower, I think.
Yeah. Because I say my superpower is, I guess my words resonate with people. Like,
hey, for real, they do though.
But I realize, like, I'm grateful enough that nothing you say, like you said, will ever faze me. So you can come with the maddest story that you've done. I just know life is so real, and the worst could happen and the best could happen. So when people come to me with like, hey, but I feel like ashamed about it, I'm like, bro, there's nothing you can say, or sis, there's nothing you can say that will make me look different about you. I will forever understand you're human and you're flawed. And that's gonna happen. It's just like, I'll always embrace that.
And that's you, but also that's the thing, the key number one thing that drew me to Islam was that. Every time I hear on Instagram or somewhere I see something, every time it's a Muslim person saying that exact thing. You're human and you're flawed. As long as you try, Allah accepts you, blah, 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 blah. It's always across the board that. And not to disrespect any other group, I just personally, in my bubble of world, I don't see that. And that could be my fault.
But do you know what? On the flip side, and this is the reality we live in, Islam itself, to me, is a beautiful religion. But to this morning, like, people who want to comment about me, like just on TikTok or social media, people say don't talk about it because it acts like it's phasing you. It's phasing me because it's disappointing to see that there's Muslim brothers who go out their way and place judgment on you, make wild assumptions, generalize you, and it's a complete opposite of the teaching of Islam. Because you're not going to judge, you're not going to chastise, you're not going to
I've seen
bring
that happen
someone
to you.
down.
I've seen that happen to you. I've seen that.
And it's just like, it's such a shame, because if you understood your own faith, you know that if you can't come correct or something positive to say, or like the best way to approach it, then don't say nothing. Because you're giving me good deeds, because you're talking smack about me.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But then it's to someone else, they're like, wow, this is what faith's about, yeah?
To me, it's Klansmen, it's Christians. The Christians who call themselves Christians, Klansmen who call themselves Christians. Like, how'd you get that out the Bible? How'd you get this part of, where'd you get that from? Because I've read it, I didn't see that part. So I do see that. And I see that's happened to me. This assume immediately I'm Muslim, I'm black, I'm either nation or I learned it in prison. There's no other possible way that I could have been born Muslim, especially I'm not born in an African country. They're like, oh, so what did you, So I do understand that point of it.
But I just think it's beautiful that you see faith like that, and I see it as well. But if I was to pay attention to the louder voices, it would be actually we're all harsh to each other. we're hypocrites, we're this, we're walking contradictions, and it's such a shame, because if you understood the faith and its teaching, you would never have stepped to me and spoken to me that way.
Yeah.
You would have come more correct.
Very true.
When you're not therapying, what's your therapy?
When I'm not there writing, it's just something that I can always do. There's nothing, like I can always write a book if I want. I can always write a movie. I can always write a script. I can always write a poem. I can always write an Instagram caption. I can write anything.
Does that impact you?
Yeah, that is my release of my thoughts informing this imagination. It helps me hone in my ADHD or whatever you want to say. That, and this sounds crazy, but battle rap.
Okay.
In my head, I'm like a top tier battle rapper. Like, in my brain, when I watch them, I'm like, bro, I would eat this guy. But the problem is there's no way I can stand there and let someone say these things to me, even if we're friends and it's like, this is just a show performance. Yeah. But for real, like, I'll be sitting there saying to myself, saying bars to myself. Like, oh my God.
Listen, the reason why I laugh so hard, like, my husband's going to watch this eventually. He's actually watching an episode right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he knows I walk around the house just spitting bars.
Bars.
And I'm like, listen, I would been a lyrical G.
People don't understand. Like, bro, I'm not saying this to gas myself up. Really am.
It's real talk.
I'm really hot. Like, I got heat.
And it'll be like random. He'll be like, "Are you done?" I'm like, one more line, one more bar. I got you. And he's like, "All right, now you're done." I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Can you admit I'm fired?" And he's just like, "Yeah,
right.
good."
Just give me the credit. Cause stop playing with me.
That's
stop
it. Put the crown.
Yeah.
Keep it stepping.
My goal is, like, I want to just be in a room one day with, like, Wayne or one of these battle rappers or somebody and just be like, "Oh, I had a little idea. I'm just show you." And they'd be like, "Oh my God."
Yeah.
Like Lupe Fiasco would be like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
That's it.
Relax, bro.
It's all right, man. You just don't want to steal their limelight.
No, you know what I'm saying?
You know, they can have the throne for now.
I live like a rapper. I don't need to be a rapper. I already used to live like a rapper. I can't.
All right, any final thoughts, sir?
No, for me, it's all about peace. It's all about, maybe that's cliche, but it's all about where you're going to go. I don't put forth as much, like I said, effort and energy into social media and things like that. I'm doing it in my life. Like, I grew up without that. So to me, that's the feds. I always tell people, like, I ain't gonna post everything on there. But, like, I'll post. I mean,
if you ain't running from the feds, why you care if it's a fed or not?
But it's like, I don't like people in my business is what I mean. Like, I do and I don't. Like, it's like, that's why I never aspire to be the next Kevin Hart, because
but then
your life is that.
Go back to your superpower and go back to your purpose and the reach of social media.
True that.
Would you ever use social media for that purpose?
Yeah, I'm going to.
If it was natural to.
I'm going to. The podcasts and things that I want to do, and what I want to do is very much so forward thinking thought stuff. But I just meant, like, oh, I'm here, I'm in this city, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm not that. I'm like,
yeah, I'm not going.
Like, if I post, like, a picture of me in Japan, that's from years ago, people might assume I'm in Japan right now, but it's like, no, I just felt that. I felt that.
I upload my eggs. I upload my breakfast. I'm not going.
You do it. Your stories, I always watch your stories like, yo, she put everything on mine. Damn, I know all her business.
No, but you don't know what time I'm doing it. So whenever I post the gym after I've left the gym, because I've had people go, "Oh, I'm in the gym." I'm like, "Nah, B, I'm not doing that. We're not having a reunion. I don't know you like that. Like, it's cool."
No, that's why. Yeah. But that as well, because that's the other part. Is like, I don't, like, especially you don't want people walk up on you, be like, "Oh my God, I like your thing," whatever. I don't know. Like,
so it happened to me recently. I actually went to, like,
somebody came up on you.
No, not because they saw my story. Like, because they recognized me.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I've had it a few times now.
That's fire.
It's so good, man.
Ain't that cool?
So this guy's probably going to see this. I was in the gym, quick story, and I was working out on cables, and I was, like, proper in my zone. And he comes up to me and goes, I see you're working hard. And I'm like, okay. And he's just like, nah, your work rate is sick. And I'm just like, bro, I'm in the gym working. I don't understand. And then he went, the content you speak about is amazing. So he thought from the beginning, I know he's talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm here thinking you're like a weird guy watching me in the gym, saying, "Oh, I've seen you work. I've seen you. You've seen
He's
you work."
He's about to be on Joey Swole.
And I'm just like, "Hey, Bob, here the guy to the end." And he's like, "The content you're doing, it's resonating
really
with
cool.
me." And I've had loads of women approach me.
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, "Are you from TikTok? Are you from?" And I'm like,
That's
I'm serving my purpose.
I had a dude I had a couple times people come up to me, "Yo, you're really funny," and I'm like, what? Yeah, I saw you at this show. I'm like, oh, cool, appreciate it. But then I'm also like, oh no, like.
No, trust me, it's
so
a lot.
for me,
for people to approach you and to be able to be vulnerable and go, I appreciate your content, whether
That's
it's
beautiful.
comedy, whatever it is, it shows you like they're able to remove their ego and approach you. Like that's completely different than saying no, because who would you approach and say like, do you know what I mean? Sometimes we're just like, I don't know how to approach you.
I did. There was this singer who I really, really like, this male singer. I saw him in the airport in New York, and he sings, all his music is very positive. His voice is insane.
Yeah.
And Michael Harriet, I want to say Harriet. I want to say he's
that guy.
Yeah, I'll send his music to you. But I saw him and I was like, oh snap! I was like, bro, I just want to say, when I'm listening to you, I'm singing that's my pipes. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I'll be hitting the notes, and he was like, "Oh, thank you, bro." I was like, "Nah, yeah." And people were looking like no one knew who he was. I was like, "Don't listen, just."
You just don't know whether you should approach someone or just leave them and just allow them to be private.
Yeah, but I had
me,
to. So I do get it. Like they feel like they had to. Oh yeah,
yeah. She said she was like, one of the girls. Like my dad just passed away 6 months ago. I felt like I had to come to you and tell you that someone sent me your video, and because no one in my family, in my circle of friends, have lost their parent. So they found your video on TikTok and sent it to me.
That's dope.
And she went, and it resonated with me so much, and I needed that. So she went, and so I couldn't walk away without having to come and talk to you. And she has more followers than me, and I'm just like,
That's dope.
That's very humbling. But it just shows you like the power of the word. Like,
but that's what I mean.
It's important.
That's a part of the piece. So for me, I'm at the most peaceful I've ever been.
That's amazing.
I'm very happy. I'm very content. Things are going well.
So content you shade off your beard.
It's moving. Yeah, New Year. I always do it. Every New Year, every January 1st, it's going to happen.
You're defying God. He gave you a beard.
It's going to happen. No,
He's allowing growth to happen, and you're just choosing to outwardly disrespect him.
He gave me this.
Nah, man, the power of a beard. Man, then please don't do it. Please.
No, you know what's funny? I've seen other guys see me, like comedians and people we know. When I walked up on them, they was like... And some of them like looking, I'm like, what? And
like, what's this?
I'll say who after, but one of them was like, I didn't know you were so beautiful. I was like, what? He was like, you're beautiful, bro.
Boy, you fine.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I appreciate that, man. He's like, yeah. No, for real. Like, I was like, all right, calm down. But to protect my peace, all I do is maintain and continue to be the person that I think that I should be. Not because of somebody else. The person that I think that I should be. So whatever I think is good in this world and that I want to continue to do and prosper and do to continue to receive blessings that's just my overall thing. Just remain as peaceful as possible and try to spread that love no matter where I go. And that's the new me. It's the old me, but the new me.
I look forward to seeing you in the next few years and watching your growth. And
I'll keep the beard, Heba. Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
I'm not at me literally.
I might do just the mustache.
As in your energy and your growth.
I know. I'm just saying I might just come back. Next time I come, I'm going to just have just the mustache.
Nah, B.
Thick. It's going to be, the long one. I'm going to do the long.
With the little curls at the end.
Yeah. I will do that too.
Okay, Zarif, it's been an absolute pleasure. Minus the beard.
Always, man.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate you.
We'll come back.
Yeah, before you leave us.
Yeah.
And disappear into like stardom.
I'll be back a bunch though, just to do stuff. So
well, hit me up.
Don't worry. Of course, yeah.
Where can people find you?
Okay, this is happening again, people. You know what happened?
You changed your handle since our last
I made
episode.
it no table salt, and the reason why is because I love Seinfeld and it's a whole thing. But also, thank you. But I also saw a guy who's a comic, I guess, or entertainer. His thing was no steak sauce. And I was like, that's so smart, because no matter what my name is, whatever name I give people on stage, unless my name is John Williams, they're not going to find me online. People have they've always had the hardest time finding me online. And I'm not going to sit there and wait with each person and beat my thing or text. You can do that, but I ain't
got time for
that. The last time I was on stage, I said no table salt. Everybody that wanted to follow me. About 25, 30 people was like, no table salt. Got it. Easy, right in the brain. So that's why I did that, to make it easy.
Wait, you've changed your name again?
Yes, no table salt on Instagram.
Don't lie.
No, that's what no table salt.
I thought, where's the story going to? You
That's
actually literally changed it again.
On all things.
No, bear in mind, you were like House of Nubian. Then
that's my brand. That's going to be my brand. So I put that to the side.
But since then we've had Zarif is what black Zarif.
But then I was like, but I'm just Zarif. Why I gotta be black first? I'm just Zarif.
Because you're proud to be black.
Yeah, but I was like, but I'm also just Zarif. And then I was
now
like,
you're
well, I'm still Zarif. When you look at my name, it's gonna say Zarif.
Zarif. No, but what's your handle?
Handle is no table salt.
No table salt.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
That's
no
it.
table
no
salt.
table salt.
And it was available.
It was very available.
You didn't have to bully
You know what was
no
available?
for it.
Fresh lime juice.
Wait,
was available.
don't wait. Shh,
I mean, I have it. I already put it on the burner account.
Oh, how dare you?
Yeah, that's what I find Instagram handles all the time. I'm like, ooh, that's fire. Yeah, I used to be Egyptian leather, like years ago. Yeah.
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 Okay. I'm wearing leather and I'm Egyptian. Does that count? I don't know.
That's a call out for you.
Okay.
All right.
So yeah, just for clarity, where can they follow you?
Just no table salt, but she'll post this and you'll see me and you'll follow.
Any new projects
that are coming? I got some shows and stuff, but I say it now, but I'll have to say it again on the next podcast. I am writing, I was contracted to write a film, which is a pretty big deal. It's like literally the big step in the career. And They were like, can you do this? And I was like, yes. And so I'm doing that, and it's going to take some time, but that is the thing that I'll keep pushing until I'm finished with it. Like, I've written it, now they got to do whatever they do with it. But yeah, it's about a black historical figure, black American historical figure, very prominent black American historical figure. That's all I can really say. Okay. And they haven't had a film or anything made about them, maybe like a couple documentaries. So it's coming.
So all I say is when you get big,
oh, you come.
Don't act like you do. Don't act like you.
I'm gonna always do. You know what I always thought? I'm not gonna try to just Oprah. I will come.
He's already had that thought. When I get famous,
I'm gonna keep doing. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing like the people who I started with. You know what I mean? To get them bigger or whatever. Like LeBron put his people up.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. You got to bring your people up.
I respect that, man. Yeah. I think that's good. I always thought about when I get famous, how humble will I be? How am I gonna not change? So I feel you.
Yeah, I mean, if something's whack, I'm gonna tell my friends. They know because that's how I am now. My friends would be like, yo, what, you help me with this? I'm like, oh no, that's whack, bro. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, no, but I'm trying to help you out. Like, I'm telling you, it's lame. I don't want to do it. Like, let's do something else. But I'm not gonna lie to you and string you along and make you, I'm just like, no. But tell me as well if it's whack.
Well, Zarif, I look forward to your growth.
Yes, I look forward to my growth. I look forward to seeing you again, hanging out, man. This is always a pleasure, man. This is like, I love it. I might just come just to hang out.
I mean, you can do. I'm not going to be here.
No, I mean just to watch your other guests.
Oh, cool. That's
just sit for real.
We're filming like 3 times this week. You can jump in.
For real.
For real.
All
right, guys. You have been listening to Growing Up British. Myself, Mama Hebz. You can catch me on I am Hebz on Instagram, growingupbritish.h also on Instagram, and Mama Hebz on YouTube. Guys, we need to get to 1,000. I never thought I'd be here begging it like an idiot. But we've got 1 million views on TikTok on one clip. Can we get to 1,000?
We're going to share it. I'm going to share it. We're going to share it.
You better
put this up. We're going to pop it out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Take it easy.
Grownish, smartish, British.
We are British, apparently.